through 2007. The economy grew decently, the unemployment rate fell. But then you looked, and the income for a median household, a household in the middle, hadn't risen over that entire period. So the economy grew, and incomes for a median family didn't rise. So that was his concern before the recession. The recession then was a huge blow to incomes. So you had incomes not rising, you have incomes then fall because of the recession, and you have a situation now that for the typical household, incomes are lower in 2013 than they were in 1996, adjusted for inflation. And that's a really serious problem, and that's for the middle. You go up, and that problem is much less severe. You go down, and that problem, as everyone in this room knows, gets a lot worse. I want to talk about a second thing that motivates this effort, and I think it motivates it in two ways. If you look in the Great Recession, the unemployment rate for whites went up 4.6%, which is terrible and much larger than they should have gone up. For Hispanics, 6.5 percentage points, which is even worse and unacceptable. And for blacks, went up by 7 percentage points, which is even worse. And that's something that everyone in this room knows, that when the economy is having problems, who are the first to bear the brunt of those problems, who are on the front edge of those problems. So that's the discouraging version of the story. I think there's an encouraging version of the story too, which is that how the overall economy does really actually can matter. And you've seen that in the recovery, where in part because we did a big fiscal stimulus in 2009 and followed up with more, in part because of steps that were taken by monetary policy, the overall unemployment rates come down, and the unemployment rate for Hispanics and blacks has actually come down even more. So what happens in the overall economy really matters. When bad things happen in the overall economy, it makes things worse, especially for those who are most vulnerable. But when things are moving to some degree in the right direction, that spills over as well. And I think that should encourage us to not just give up, but to think that policy matters, what happens in the overall economy matters. But that shouldn't make us think that we're anywhere close to being done. The unemployment rate for blacks is 9% now, for Hispanics is 7%, for whites it's under 5%. So you have the large disparities you saw before the recession. All declines you saw are back. But those numbers themselves understate the scope of the problem. And to give one sense of the scope of the problem, an analysis we did at the Council of Economic Advisors looked at a black man born in 1990 and asked, what is the chances that that black man is working today, 25 years later? The answer is 50-50. First of all, what you would, in clinical terms, called excess mortality, the chances that that black man is alive today, as compared to the rest of the population, are already scandalous. You add the lower percentage of people who are actually looking for a job and participating in the labor force, and add on top of that the fact that unemployment rates are higher for younger people and then even higher for black men, and you get that 50% figure. That's a problem for all of us. That's a problem for our economy as a whole. If we just took the labor force participation rate for men between the age of 16 and 54, men of color between the ages of 16 and 54, and got it back to what it was for non-Hispanic whites, our overall economy would be 2% larger. We'd add 2% to our growth. If we close some of the gaps in education, we'd add $170 billion to wages. The overall economy depends on how everyone is contributing to it. And the more we can do to help everyone contribute to the economy, the more we're going to succeed as a country, and the more everyone among us will succeed. So the question then is, what can we do about it? One thing that I'm really excited about your group, and I was saying this to about half of you over there, so forgive me for repeating myself, is first of all, macroeconomic policy, how the economy as a whole does, matters a lot. And that's normally a topic that's considered abstract. It's a topic left for experts. It's a topic left for people that obsessively read the Wall Street Journal and Financial Times. And I, by the way, consider myself an expert. I'm an obsessive reader of the Wall Street Journal and Financial Times. There's nothing against those people. But it's a topic that matters to everyone, and it's a topic everyone should participate in. We have a rule in the administration that we don't tell the Fed what to do. We don't comment on monetary policy. But what I can say is monetary policy matters, and monetary policy is really important. Yes. And you look at the late 1990s, for example, that's one of the most successful periods that we've had in our economic history, with wages rising, an unemployment rate that was low, jobs being added quite rapidly. And part of why that happened was a set of decisions made at the time by the Federal Reserve that allowed that to happen. The other half of macroeconomic policy that I'd encourage you all to pay attention to and take a look at is what economists call fiscal policy. That's what you do with taxes and spending. And this matters a lot for the economy too. The fact that we did a big Recovery Act in 2009, and we would have liked to have done a bigger one, Congress cut it back, helped, I think, put us moving in the direction we needed to move. Today, there's another big debate going on, which is at the end of the fiscal year ends on September 30th, the sequester comes back. What the sequester is it's an across-the-board cut to all government spending. That would bring back some of the austerity that I think has created problems for countries around Europe, Asia, and the United States. It would cost jobs. When you have fewer jobs, it would reduce wages. And it would also cut funding for everything from the programs we need to support pregnant mothers so that you can have success at the very earliest stages, through preschool education, and beyond. So I would encourage all of you to take a look at that debate. The position the president has outlined is, number one, that the sequester is unacceptable. We need to go back to a higher funding level. Number two, there's some people who agree with the sentence I just said. They would just agree to it only for defense spending. And they want higher defense spending and want to make sure defense spending doesn't get cut. What we've said is you can't take care of defense spending unless you take care of everything else I was just talking about: education, nutrition, research, income support, and all of that as well. You're going to see, I think, more of this discussion happening over the next month, because, as I said, the deadline is September 30th. So I would encourage you to pay attention to that part of macroeconomic policy too. The last thing I wanted to say is that macroeconomic policy isn't everything. I gave you the example of the economy grew from 2001 through 2007, but it didn't help incomes. And so we need to do a lot more to connect growth with jobs and with wages. Part of that depends on, can we raise the minimum wage? Can we raise the wages across the country? And as I was explaining to the group over there, it's no surprise to people that President Obama can't do every single thing he wants with the Congress that we currently have in the United States. So he's been pushing to raise the minimum wage with help from a lot of people in this room for a while, and we haven't gotten Congress to act. We still think that effort's been successful, though, because we've seen numerous states raise their minimum wage. We've seen millions of people get a raise because of that. We've seen cities do it. We've seen companies do the right thing and raise their wages. And we're going to continue to support efforts by fast food workers, by others across the country, to raise their wages to get the efforts don't stop there. I think it's not just a wage, it's also a job. And a job depends both on where you are in the overall macroeconomic policy I was talking about, where you are in the business cycle. Are you in a recession? Are you not? But it depends on more than that. And you look at prime-age men in the United States, and now I'm talking about across the country, not any particular race. And you compare us to prime-age men in other advanced economies, Europe, Japan, you find that the percentage of our men that participate in the labor force were 22nd worst out of 24 rich countries.
Wow.
For women between the age of 25 and 54, we're the 19th worst out of 24 countries. It didn't used to always be this way. You look as recently as 1990, we were more towards the middle of the pack, and for women towards the upper end of the pack. But we've really fallen behind in the percentage of people that are participating in the labor force. So getting more people participating is an important part of the answer. The traditional answer to that is if you make labor markets as flexible as they can possibly be, you get labor costs as low as they could possibly be, that'll solve all your problems and everyone will get to work. Well, we've tried something close to that in the United States, and as I said, we're 22nd worst for men, 19th worst for women. So I don't think that's the answer. The answer is that you need to do a lot more, both strengthening the overall economy, but also better connecting people to jobs through better education, through training, through childcare, helping pay for transportation, more flexible workplaces, the tax treatment of secondary earners, a whole range of things that I think matter to make labor markets function and require a real effort by public policy and by everyone. So I think that's a second really important area, is get higher wages, but also get more jobs. The final thing I'd say is we also need more overall economic growth. That's not enough by itself. We need to take those steps to connect people to growth, but we also need to be investing in our infrastructure, investing in our research, and having an overall economy that's poised to do what we need to do today to expand the overall pie while making sure that more people get a larger share in the pie. So this is what we're trying to do. I'd be lying if I said it was anything other than frustrating at times. There's a lot of things that are really obvious to us that we just can't do. You look at something like investing more in our infrastructure, building roads and bridges. We've been banging our head against a wall on that for 6 straight years. But then you see things you can do, and you see what states are doing, what localities are doing. You see things like the sequester, where maybe you can't get it perfect, but you can get it a lot better. And for me, at least, that keeps me going. I know it keeps President Obama going. So would love to hear comments, questions, and start with you. Please say who you are, where you're from, tiny bit.
My name is DeJuan Wash. I'm from Kansas People's Action out of Wichita, Kansas. It's interesting that you're here. I know that you said that they're having a discussion now on inflation dynamics. Your belief is that inflation has been the same for over 20 years. We're actually having a discussion about this now in our next session about the inflation boogeyman. But what I wanted to know is what impact is our conference having on the discussion upstairs? I would really like to know, what people are saying about us. What the conversation has been. Because I was reading this morning that they are still considering to raise interest rates, and I'd just like to know from your perspective what the discussion has been since then.
I think discussions like this help. As I said, I don't think I think economic policy, even macroeconomic policy, as I said, I think that's a discussion for everyone who's affected by it, which is everyone. And you have people like Bill Spriggs. Where's Bill? Oh, Bill wanders up and down, and is a great voice up there. I heard him last year. Last year, I think, was the first year you were invited, Bill, right? Asked a lot of great questions last year, a lot of great ones this year, and you'll be in a discussion on inflation dynamics. And we'll raise the question of, does inequality matter for this? Actually, people are so unequal they can't spend, or people are so unequal that at high incomes you have so much extra savings chasing not enough investment opportunities, and you get imbalance in your economy that way. And how does that affect the things that central bankers conventionally care about, like macroeconomic stability? I think there is, nothing changes overnight, nothing changes instantly, but I think people are paying more attention to the macroeconomic consequences of inequality. You look at a place like the IMF. You look at a place like the International Monetary Fund. Their goal is stable balance of payments across countries. They've done research saying inequality hurts economic growth, and that inequality makes it more likely that you're going to have recessions and macroeconomic instability. That's a big change from where the discussion was a couple of years ago, and I think groups like this have helped push people into taking a broader set of concerns into consideration of policy.
Okay, but I don't know.
I mean, you asked a specific question on policy.
But no, are they upstairs? Are we actually making a direct impact on the conversations that they're having upstairs about the interest rate? That's what I mean.
Most of the conversation upstairs is an academic conversation, and it's research papers. They're on the internet. You can read them. They're about the dynamics of inflation, and they're about what the economics profession does, which is make incremental progress by better understanding one part of a problem, and you add that together with other papers, and you get somewhere. The discussions upstairs aren't, should we raise interest rates or lower interest rates? The Fed will discuss that in their next meeting. I can't speak to what they're going to do. I can't speak, to be honest, to the influence you're having. But, so it's not like people up there are deciding the economic fate of the world. People up there are trying to better understand the economy. And I think that's important, and that's going to help us formulate better policies. I think when you're understanding the economy, to factor in the set of concerns that everyone in this room has, I think that matters a lot for the economy. I think that has become a bigger part of the discussion.
So, Jason, we got a lot of hands. So one idea that I had is, what if we took like 3 comments and then had you respond in a group, and then took another 3? Would that be good? And maybe we could start with Don in the back.
I'm not an economist. I'm just a regular working person. I'm a teacher assistant. I work in a daycare center. I have 15 3-year-olds with another teacher in the class, and I make $8.50 an hour. And I'm trying to raise a family on $8.50 an hour, which is not at all easy to do in this economy. But my question to you is, what is Congress going to do about childcare in America? And what are they going to do about the wages for people that are taking care of America's greatest asset, which is her children? And also for the workers who need affordable childcare. What are they getting ready to do to take care of the childcare issue?
Okay. Great. So that's one. Let's take a couple more all the way in the back. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Sarita Turner. I'm with Policy Link. We're a national nonprofit equity research and advocacy organization. And so I want to go back to your very somber comment about, first of all, thank you for coming down and having this conversation. So I want to go back to your very somber comments about the condition, the 50-50 chance of a black man born in, I think you said 1980.
Yeah.
And so, one of the things, the policy strategy are awesome that you're talking about, and the acknowledgement of that coming from the White House is tremendous and appreciated. I want to just explore a little bit with you the relationship between my brother's research and the policy, because in our community, our children are growing up in conditions that can never help them formulate hopes or dreams in the first place, right? And they're going to school with many, many challenges, and many of them are not making it through school. So we have a cradle to prison pipeline. And so I feel like it's really time for us to marry economic policy and job creation strategy conversation with how are we going to change the actual conditions of community that our children are growing up in. Now I know you alluded to sequester, and there's a lot of issues around cuts to TDG and all those kinds of things. But if we can think about how the dollars that will be flowing to communities are administered differently, and that there's a great opportunity with the affirmatively fair housing rule, then we can start to marry good sound policies with practice on the ground that is going to help solve some of the social challenges that our black men and others in our community are dealing with.
Great. So we'll take one more, and then we'll let Jason answer.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for coming down. My name is Julie Duwale. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina. I work with Action NC and a smaller campaign called Stand With Women and Families, Stand in the Way. 20 years ago, women made 72 cents on the dollar to men. Today is still just 77 cents. So obviously we have more work to do. So my question to you is, as more women become the primary breadwinners, why does income disparity still exist, and what can be done about it?
So those are all great questions. In answering the first two together a little, when I think about what we're trying to accomplish is set out some bigger aspirational goals that will help move the debate. And then, if because of Congress we can't get the bigger thing done, but we can get something medium done, we can get something small done, we try to do that too. So childcare is a good example. We've put out a really big, ambitious plan that starts at age 0 and goes through age 5 or 6. It would make preschool, high-quality preschool, available for all Americans. And you're not going to have high-quality preschool without paying more, without having better ratios in the classroom. And it does childcare before that too. And by the way, if you look at the percentage of 4- and 5-year-olds in America that are in school, to go back to I was comparing to the OECD before, we're the 24th worst in that. Out of about, I think it's about 30 countries. Many of them don't have the same income that we have in this country, and so that's pathetic and unacceptable. Yeah, sorry, that's. So we have big plans and big ideas on preschool, on childcare. I don't see Congress moving very rapidly to pass those ideas within the next several months, would be an understatement. But this sequester debate I was talking about actually matters, because Head Start and a bunch of other preschool funding falls under so-called discretionary spending. And if the sequester hits, those get cut. And I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but you'll end up with fewer Head Start slots, or more students per teacher. And having small children of my own, how two people can deal with 15 is my hats off to you for that. Or you could pay people less. And none of those are good options. So in dealing with something like the sequester debate, it matters a lot. It matters to what you're talking about. It's not going to solve the issue. If we get the outcome we want, things are not going to be perfect. We need a lot more than that. But at least they'd be less bad. So I think those debates matter. I was really glad in that sense that applies to what you're saying as well. There's the bigger aspirational ideas. There's what you can get done, and then there's what you can do by organizing. So a large part of my brother's keeper, it would certainly help to get federal legislation, and that includes in areas like criminal justice reform that I didn't mention initially, but are really quite important. But we're not sitting around waiting for that to happen. We're also trying to get, we're partnering with a lot of mayors, with a lot of housing authorities, as you were talking about, with foundations to see what funding we can get, what we can do to reform some of the laws and policies, and also to find the best programs that can help with preschool, that can help with mentorship, that can help turn that what you call cradle to prison pipeline into a cradle to work pipeline. The pay gap that you asked about is been a big focus of ours. Part of it is you look initially there's not as much of a pay gap. And then if you look right out of college, there's much less of a pay gap, and then that pay gap widens and widens. And I think some of the steps that would help more people participate in the workforce. So the childcare, transportation, more flexible workplaces, those types of things would address part of the issue. And part of the issue is discrimination, and we need additional tools. We have some more, but we need more tools to deal with discrimination. And then part of it is you look at industries like the software industry, and that's one of the only places where you see you don't see women making progress. You see the exact opposite. You see fewer women continuing in software businesses today and other tech businesses than they were 20 or 30 years ago. I'm just trying to understand what can be done about the culture, about the laws, about everything else that governs that. I cannot be more inspirational, but I will make a really good effort to be louder.
All right. So we're gonna take three more. Anthony, go ahead.
Thank you, Jason, for being here tonight. Your free time. My name is Shields. I'm also called Neighborhood Organizing Change in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Minnesota itself is known for some of the largest racial disparities in education and also in unemployment. Currently, the state sits at 4% unemployment, yet for our Black brothers and sisters, we are at 15.6%. That's unacceptable. And because of the way in which the economy and these racial disparities work together so closely, we at NOC, we're trying to pass a very comprehensive workers' rights package, which we're trying to get fair scheduling, to aid and wage theft, to get paid sick and safe time, and to have $15 right now. And so my question with that, with a package like that we're trying to get passed on a local level in the city, how can the Obama administration support that on a local level and also on a national level, and then also something that I know that he has decision-making power on, how can he make $15 an hour minimum wage for federal contractors?
And then let's just
you're right, sorry.
Joaquin, you want to?
Sure. Jason, thanks for being with us today. My name is Joaquin. I work at the Texas Organizing Project, and as you probably know, we have a new Fed president in Dallas. For the better part of this year, Texas Organizing Project and work with Fed's project leaders who are here, and our local coalition have been trying to meet with the Fed to figure out how we can improve the process and make it more inclusive. We weren't successful. Robert Kaplan was appointed a new president. Comes from Goldman Sachs as a Harvard business professor, and also happened to be sits on the board of directors with the executive search firm that conducted the search for the president. So for us, it was just a little, what's going on here? It doesn't smell right. But along those lines, what can you and the president do to bring about more transparency with the Fed, working with communities like us who have a real read on how the economy is not working for working families on the ground.
All right. And in case those weren't too big enough questions, one more. Reggie Ram, you want to?
My name's Reginald Rounds from St. Louis, Missouri. And sir, being a recent graduate of green technology, I speak for myself and my classmates with number 20 universal working in our field. We just recently met with James Bullard in St. Louis, and I listened to him yesterday as he talked to the media as he in September plans to raise their interest rates. He told us that he told the media that yesterday. He told us that only days ago in St. Louis. I need to know what you're going to do. What can be done to get jobs in St. Louis, sir? I feel personally, I don't have a lot of time to speak, but I don't feel that the numbers that Congress has or you guys have are accurate. Your numbers don't reflect our research, our canvassing, our state of life in our city. The numbers are wrong. We in our community are way out of the employment. We are not working. What can be done to get jobs in St. Louis?
Thank you.
Okay. I think in general, and again, I was saying this to the group in the beginning over there. There's a real complementarity of federal efforts and state and local. Sometimes we do something like the minimum wage. We try to do it at the federal level, and then you see states and localities do it. Then the more states that act, the more pressure it puts on the federal government to act. And so you can get somewhat of a virtuous circle going. We have in terms of some of the efforts you were talking about in local areas have been supportive in terms of consistently where we can in terms of higher wages. A higher minimum wage has been our focus of our efforts. But I think you raise a good point about the broader set of labor rules at the local level and what we can do to look at them as a whole, because it obviously isn't just wages. And at the federal level, we think about a range of issues, including overtime and others. We raised the pay for federal contractors to $10.10 an hour. At the time that was what the main legislation in Congress that was supported by major coalitions for the minimum wage. The time that was the wage that Bobby Scott and others have requested that we do for contractors, and we're in the process of implementing. We're doing a lot of other things with federal contractors. We're doing a lot of other things in terms of our federal workforce. And I would encourage you to stay tuned for more steps you're going to see us take. We try to lead and show how the federal government can be a model employer. We've done that on issues like pay, LGBT, and more flexible workplaces, discrimination, and transparency in pay, and you're going to see more ways in the future that we can have a model federal workplace. In terms of the selection process for regional bank presidents, I think that's a really important issue to be taking a look at, and it certainly is not today a model of transparency and participation, and that is something that I take that point seriously. In terms of jobs, in a way, the answer to your question is really long. It depends on the macroeconomic policies we've been talking about. In our case, what happens with austerity or the budget. It depends on can we invest more in infrastructure and create more jobs that way. It depends on can we make the types of investments we need in research that we're going to have more industries. It depends on breaking down discrimination. It can be a barrier to people hire in jobs. It depends on a whole lot of things. I wish there was one answer to your question, and I wish there was something we could do tomorrow. I think there's a long set of answers to your questions, and a lot of things in that list are currently being blocked, and not something that we can do. But I don't think the president looks at statistics and says everything's great every everything's solved, everything's done. He definitely thinks we're making progress. I think we're making progress, and I think that's important to understand. But part of why we care about the things we're doing is because we do sometimes see some of them working. But that needs to encourage us to do a lot more of all of them, not stop and declare victory.
So I think there are a number of other questions. My instinct is, and I think you said you have another 2 minutes, or how much longer do you have?
I got probably 10 more, but I don't know what your schedule is.
So my instinct, right? So we have a couple of great sessions that a lot of your leaders from around the country have prepped to do, and then we also have flights home that I imagine. Raise your hand if you want to miss your flight. So what I think we'll do is, if a few folks have questions, I know there are still some outstanding questions. Maybe Jason could chat outside in the hallway with a few last folks who have other things that they want to talk about. And I think we should move to our 2 breakout sessions. I think they're going to be fantastic, and I think they'll give us also an opportunity for more folks to have their voices heard, because they're kind of conversational as well. Is there a particular burning one? I feel like there's a lot of them. I can't see. I'm sorry. Okay. Where I don't sure. So sure. So do you want to ask one more question, and then we'll break into our session? Does that sound good? Okay.
And after your question, I'll be in the hallway for a few more minutes, and happy to hear individually and a few more questions. So
I can ask you.
Yeah, no, you can ask me here, and then everyone else in the hallway.
I'm Mary King, and I live in Charlotte. I'm a member of Action Carolina, and I hope everyone can hear me. I am a singer. I'm disabled. I came out on disability June 29th, by the grace of God, I'm still here. Okay. You know, yesterday I heard a lot of good stuff, important things. Today I'm hearing a lot of good stuff, but I haven't heard anything about our situation, seniors, able, and the people who have received Social Security. It's hard. It's income. Social Security. Okay. Social Security is me. I'm speaking for those people. Okay. I haven't heard anybody say anything about that. We seniors, we led the way for you guys. We led the way. All right. We don't get $15 an hour.
Yes, ma'am.
We don't even get minimum wages. No, we have to pay for our medication. Sometimes we have to sacrifice to eat. And I know people personally don't even get $600 or $500 a month. It is hard for us. I have no one say anything about our situation. Co-pays. We gotta pay our doctor. We gotta pay our medicine. Co-pays. Okay.
Take your time,
We don't even receive appropriate income. But these people talking about $15. God bless you. If you're only guys gonna get, we don't get that. You know what he's talking about that. Sometimes we have to pay out of pocket because the prescriptions that our doctors give us. When I get there, a lot of times they said, you're not coming. I got a ticket in my pocket to pay for that. I need them. Not only me, there are others in the same situation. I'm not just speaking for me. That little $10 that you guys give us every 3 or 4 years, what can we do with it? A loaf of bread, maybe some eggs. How one goes in a bag. It's not enough. Something needs to be fixed. It needs to be revived. Where's that song? I'm hurting.
Thank you.
Yes, the other one. Who's recovered? We recovered.
No.
The devil is a liar. And we're not recovered. We're at the bottom of the barrel. We're at the bottom of the barrel. Especially we see especially disabled people. We're at the bottom of the barrel. I'm gonna sit down. I'm upset.
I'm a social worker. In any other circumstance, this would be considered senior abuse. Somebody would have to be accountable, and somebody would be going to jail. This is blatant senior abuse. Who do we turn to? Who hears us? When folks can stand on that floor and hold the government hostage. You are taking my home, my medicines, any other circumstance. You take the senior's finances. That's you locking me in the basement, keeping my money, my livelihood, my whole living circumstances. My quality of life is already jeopardized. It's already jeopardized. Who hears us? Who hears us? We blessed. We have our checks. We worked hard. We worked hard. Please hear us. Please hear us. Something has to be done.
Yeah.
Something
I'm a senior citizen.
I own property. I own my house.
But my house got devalued in the recession. Who's recovered? And I cannot sell my house for the amount that I'm being taxed for. I worked all my life to be able to pay for something, and now I got to move somewhere else because I can't pay the taxes. And now the Federal Reserve is talking about raising the mortgage. We're seniors. Work all of our lives. We pay into the system. And what we get from the government? Silence.
Nobody's working hard. No, nobody.
Silence.
I just want to say last year I was paying $9.60 for medicine that keeps me mobile so I can walk without being all kinds of pain. This year my copay changed to $9.60. Oh my God! Where am I going to get that? I'm not going to eat or do anything else. It's not happening. So they got me on something else. I can hardly walk. And it's getting worse. Everything's going up. I really just there's no change. Low as $1 and something. Last year $3. Yeah. It's a shame. We've been here a long time. We have paid into the system. We have raised our children. We have done everything that we were supposed to do. And now they kick us to the curb. It's not right.
I think you all. Let me say just a little bit. I can't say anything at all close to what you've just said. But then I'll walk out into the hall, and anyone who wants to continue it. I think that's a really powerful and important point. I think that when we look at the effort that a lot of people in this room made to stop Social Security from being privatized a decade ago, a lot of the effort we're still making to prevent Medicare from being turned into a voucher program. That's partly motivated by what you're saying. I keep doing this, and I apologize. People keep talking about really big issues, and those really big issues are really important. But then there's a set of other things that are about to happen in Washington that are on my mind, and I want to make sure they go right by you too. We have one in disability.